The Ways and Means Committee of the Board of Aldermen is now called to order. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Cruzen, Alderman Florida.
Present.
Alderman Behringer.
Oh, present.
Vice Chairman Williamson.
Here.
Alderman Moore.
McKee. Present.
Alderman French. Alderman Vaccaro.
Present.
Alderman Carter.
Present.
Chairman Kennedy.
Here.
7 present, 1.
Okay, we are continuing our hearings in relationship to the budget, the upcoming budget for 2015. Yesterday we had a review of the budget by the budget director, Paul Payne, who went over it in rather detail in some portions and gave us a pretty good idea of the expectations and the needs in the upcoming budget. Today we have coming before the committee representation from the mayor's office, the comptroller, and the president of the Board of Aldermen. We first have up representation from the mayor's office, and that'll be Mary Ellen.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to come on behalf of the mayor. He is at the Focus St. Louis What's Right with the Region event this evening. In St. Louis, the city is receiving 3 separate awards. So we have a lot to be proud of tonight. First, I want to thank the Budget Division for their hard work putting this budget together. It's no secret that it's another tight budget year. However, over the past decade or more, this city's weathered an economic crisis better than most other cities. That's in no small part to this body, the Comptroller's office, the Budget Division, and the Mayor's cabinet members. When it comes to the budget, as you know, it's our job to make the hard decisions that protect city services and minimize damage done by a bad economy. And those choices are in your hands now. And hopefully we'll get to work on those together after your public comment period at the end of May. Just a quick recap of what Paul said last night, and then I'll get into detail about the mayor's actual office budget. The FY15 annual operating plan totals $1 billion, which is a 1.9% increase over the previous fiscal year. And I think what I wanted to make sure we all knew was that it's not a $10 million budget shortfall. We had a projected budget gap, which is encountered when preparing a coming year's budget. This occurs nearly every year, with the only question being a matter of degree. Worse gaps in recessions and slow growth periods. And this proposed budget, however, is balanced, as is recent years. Growth in recurring revenue has lagged expenditures, and thus the proposed budget continues to see some reductions wherever possible in non-critical areas, although I kind of think all areas are critical, as well as other measures such as deferral of capital expenditures and other special fund reallocations to make up the difference and maintain a balanced budget. So going forward, as Paul said last night, we do need to work to attain structural balance, recurring revenue, meaning recurring revenues need to meet expenditures without reliance on one-time measures. We need to continue to restore our reserves over the next year or so. As we have taken over local control of the police department, we need to look and see what kind of savings we can see in the future. I mean, right now it's just taking them on and making them part of the family. We'll hopefully see in the future some getting rid of some duplication of services, using their best practices for some of the things that we do, not as well as them, and vice versa. And then finally, the financing of some capital needs that we've deferred over the years. I know you guys have heard a little bit about the GO bond issue. We'd like to work on with you all in the coming months. And I think Paul, the budget director, will be briefing on you on the capital needs list. So that's my quick overview for the whole budget. I'm happy to answer all the questions that I can on the overall budget, but specifically the mayor's budget. For FY15, we requested $1.8 million and some change, and we were proposed about the same. It's about a $10,000 difference between the request and the actual budget. And it's that difference is accommodated with reductions in various personnel service line items. So our budget this year for FY15 represents a $58,677, which is an approximate 3% reduction over last year's allocation. And then a few other things that are changed in our budget from last year. There's a slight increase in wages to reflect the 2% merit increases given in FY14. And odd number aldermen know that the mayor has not received a pay increase since 2009, because I don't think the odd-numbered alderman did either. And then increases in health insurance, as with all departments. An allocation of $55,000 per performance salaries we have in there, a $10,700 reduction in materials and supply line items, a $2,000 reduction in rental and non-capital lease line items, a $22,000 reduction in the contractual and other services line items, which are things like office and computer, communication, travel, education and training, and transportation. The current number of occupied positions, 15, remains significantly less than authorized positions, which is 25. Since Mayor Slay took office in 2001, the number of occupied positions has dropped from 25 to the current 15. Again, since the mayor took office in '01, the city's general fund budget has seen a growth of about 24, almost 25% over the same time period. The mayor's tried to lead by example in his budget, in his office, by decreasing or cutting his budget while we have to cut other budgets as well. So an overall of a 12% decrease since he took office in '01. So those are the highlights of his office budget, and I'm happy to answer questions there and answer any questions I can that you all may have.
Okay. Questions from members of the committee? Alderwoman Florida.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mary Ellen. Are you able to accomplish all of your goals as a staff, though, with the decrease in budget?
We all work very hard.
You do. I agree. You do. And so in some of your contractual services, what kind of contractual, how have you saved money in communications? It went from 22 to 10. It's quite significant. So
from the 22 to 10, I think, and Ron can help me with this a little bit, but I think that's mostly the communications. There is other office and computer supplies, and we just didn't spend that much.
Okay, so you
we
looked
had
at,
some left over, and so
Okay.
we just budgeted what we had spent from last year. So.
okay, thank you.
Alderwoman Behringer.
I too appreciate the overview, and I guess my thing is that I'm seeing that from 14 to 15, that the travel dropped in half, and I'm just making sure that as the mayor, he can, do what he needs to do as a mayor with half the budget.
Yeah, most of us do not use a travel budget. So I think he's okay. If he has to fly somewhere, he usually pays for it out of his campaign funds, like National League of U.S. Conference of Mayors. He tries to use that budget as opposed to taxpayer budget money to do those sorts of things. So that sort of travel would be for somebody else that may need to go to a conference. So, yeah.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Williamson.
Thank you. I know you had mentioned 58,000 reduction from last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is that a combination of, your contractual service, or is that a salary? Is it all put together? Do you kind of know exactly what caused that reduction of the 58,000?
Yeah, there
Which is a
was-
good thing, I guess, if you're trying to save money.
So it was mostly a cut from a little bit cut from per performance salaries. We had a vacant position that we never filled that we cut a little bit from. And then I think here's the reduction in rental and non-capital lease items. So those are like our copy machines, and then the contractual and other service line items. So like you saw, the travel was cut in half, education and training was cut, office and computer supplies have been cut. So.
And do you specifically know, I know you had mentioned that since the merger of the police department coming over, I'm part of the city of St. Louis now, do you know exactly how that's going to be a savings or exactly where the savings will come from by the merger?
So I'm hoping that with the new, one of the places we'll see, and this will be part of my new job, but seeing how the supply commissioner, who is a former police department employee, can see how we can see some savings there. They have, the police department has a warehouse where they keep all their supplies, and they buy in bulk. And so there's one small example that I've asked our supply commissioner to go through and look at all of our supplies citywide. But an example is the police department can purchase a box of computer paper where the ream is, I think, $2, and one ream is like $2.90, and we get it at like $3.90. Don't quote me on those exact numbers, but examples like that.
Okay.
And then finding some efficiencies in our IT department as well. So those will be my two big focuses over the next year.
Okay, very good. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Moore, any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. Alderman French?
Yeah, a couple questions. So first, so looking here at your budgets, you say that you've reduced the budget in the mayor's office. But if I compare what was expended in fiscal year 12 to what is budgeted for fiscal year 15, it looks like it's actually about a 9.5% increase from fiscal year 15. Am I reading that correctly? Fiscal year 12 was 1.6 million, and this year you're asking for 1.8.
Yes. So I think I'm saying it's a comparison from 2001 to 2015. So FY 2002 compared to FY 2015 is what that decrease I'm talking about is.
Oh, but it's, okay.
Yeah. So since FY 12, I think the difference there is largely from the merit increases that we're seeing citywide, and then health insurance and, Social Security.
Okay, so, I mean, but it would be a more accurate statement that the budget has actually gone up recently.
If you compare it from FY 12 to FY 15, sure. Mhm.
And then even from FY 14 to FY 15, there seems to be some minor salary increases for both the mayor and chief of staff.
There shouldn't be for...
Original amount FY 2014, 130. So yeah, chief staff 159,000, and it goes up to 161.
Yeah, but that's the 2% merit that was
What's this
across the
2%
board.
increase?
And then the mayor did not.
How does it work when you guys have staff that retires and then comes back to work for the city? What pot do they get paid out of?
Per performance is how, if you're specifically asking about the operations manager, he's paid out of the per performance.
Operations manager, that's Ron.
Right.
And then we've seen Barb around here. Is she?
Barb works for Thompson Coburn. I'm not sure how that works.
Okay. And that all comes out of pay performance, and that is the 55,000 pot?
Correct.
Okay. All right, and the two police officers that drive the mayor around, do those come out of the mayor's budget, or they come out of the police department's budget?
They must be in the police department budget because they're not in the mayor's office budget.
Okay. So all in all, you guys have about 25 employees over there?
We have 25 positions, 15 of them are filled.
So you have 10 unfilled?
Mhm.
Do you plan to fill those?
Not anytime soon.
Are they in this budget?
Some of them are, yes. I mean, they're 25 authorized, they're not all occupied. So if you look, there are some that say authorized, requested, and position. And there may be a zero there. So most of them are zeroed out. We have a extra position for executive assistant to the mayor. That looks like, and then special assistant and administrative assistant. depends on, it depends on how things go.
So if you have 10 unfilled positions that are budgeted, what do you do with the extra money if you don't fill them?
I don't think most of it's, I'd have to break it all down, but I don't think most of it is extra money just sitting there. Most of that salary is taken, is being used.
Okay.
They're just
and-
authorized positions under the TO, but they're not funded. Do you see what
Gotcha.
I'm saying?
Sure. Sure, I see it here. All right, so you guys have 25 total positions, and we've got about
Authorized, yes.
44 over here. And you guys have a budget of about 1.1, terrible, 1.9. Okay. All right, thank you.
Alderman Vaccaro, any questions? Alderman Carter.
I have one question. How much, how many lobbyists does this amount pay for?
Where are you asking?
Huh?
How much does what?
There's lobbying, 92,000.
That pays for a team of lobbyists. Mhm.
Okay. And what all is covered in internal service?
You probably know better than I do from your time in Jeff City.
Okay, all right. Well,
So
thanks.
largely Jeff City efforts, but also federal level efforts, so, yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Alderwoman Ingracia, you have any questions? Okay. Alderman Moore.
Mary Ellen, who is the executive assistant to the mayor?
That is me, and there's 2 occupied positions there, so that's me and Robin Wabi.
So the salary of 200,000 is between the two of you?
That's correct.
And then the special assistant to the mayor?
There are 4 of those. First one is Sherry Wibbenmeyer, Steve Grigali, Catherine Warner, and Eddie Roth.
This process reminds me of when I watch the television and I see people lying on the ground and the police are standing there smoking cigarettes and smiling. We have a very serious problem, and especially, you know how I bicker and scream and holler, jump up and down like cheetah all the time about my ward and the things that's going on, and I'm looking at these salaries. It amazes me to see what's happening, and we get no help. I'm not getting any help from my community, but we'll talk about that on another day. But I just want you to know that I was just trying to figure out who all these people were making this large sums of money. Can you help us get a raise?
I'm actually in negotiations with the unions right now, and I'm working diligently on a project in the 4th Ward. Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the committee? If not, do you have any other closing remarks?
I just appreciate the work that you all do. Any information, any assistance I can provide in getting more information to you, I'm happy to do.
Okay.
So, and I'll be at the meetings from here on out.
All right.
Ways and
Thank you.
Means. Thank you.
Earlier, I didn't mention it, but I'd like to thank all of the both citizens and residents who've come out to the meeting tonight. Today is the second of the evening meetings that the committee is holding. In its attempt to make this process a little bit more open, have more transparency, and to also allow for better participation from residents and citizens in the city of St. Louis. The third of these meetings will be on May 27th. The third of the evening meetings will be on May 27th, when the committee will be taking public testimony on your thoughts and ideas on how the budget should be. The budget bill comes to the Board of Aldermen by May 1st of the year. That's after a long process of a budget being put together by the budget director and being reviewed by the mayor, the comptroller, and the president of the Board of Aldermen, who make up a body called the Board of Estimate and Apportionment. They look at what comes from the budget director, make their changes, and then by May 1st, send that over to the Board of Aldermen. The Board of Aldermen at that point usually calls in various department heads and division heads and discuss with them about their needs in relationship to the incomes. And then the Board of Aldermen makes its recommendations back to the Board of E&A. The board cannot add in money to the budget, but it can make cuts and recommendations where those dollars can go. Presently, the process, May 1st, the bill, actually at the end of April, the bill was introduced for the budget, and now presently the board is in the process of holding these hearings, discussing with each department their needs in relationship to the overall income. Today we've heard the testimony from the mayor's office. We will next have the Comptroller's office, our Comptroller who is here now. But I just wanted to, one, thank you for coming out tonight, and then to know about the meeting on the 27th. That meeting will not be here at City Hall. It would be at the Shafley Branch Library. That night is a baseball game, and it would be very difficult getting both down here into City Hall on a parking lot. So we decided to hold that meeting away from City Hall on May 27th. There are a series of handouts on the table to my right. If you've come in the door on the left, you might want to get the handouts that are on the right that give an overview of the budget as well as describes the budget process, and then has part of the rest of the schedule of the meetings. With that, I believe we could, if our Comptroller is ready. I understand the Alderman Ogilvy is here also. He's here? There he is. Okay, then. You're fine. Then I'll take this moment just to introduce members of this committee, which I should have done earlier. To my right is Alderman Frank Williamson. We have Alderman Jennifer Florida, Alderman Sam Moore, Alderman French all the way to my left. And then here we have Alderman Carter, Alderwoman Donna Behringer, Alderman Vaccaro, Alderwoman Ingracia there to my far right, and then Alderman Ogilvy out in the audience. We're ready. Mm-hmm. We'll now hear testimony from the Comptroller's office and our Comptroller, Darlene Green. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right there. Mm-hmm.
Good evening, everyone. How are you this evening?
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for inviting us this evening to participate in the budget process as we come before you to offer the budget for the Comptroller's office. I have with me John Sakai, who's the Deputy Comptroller for the City of St. Louis, and we'll just give a brief overview, and we do have staff available to go over anything, questions that you may have that I may not have the answers to. Okay, first of all, we can show you that once again the Comptroller is being very efficient with the budget this year, with a very modest 2.4% increase over the previous fiscal year's budget. In fiscal 2015, we have $8.9 million budgeted, over 8.7 the previous fiscal year 2014. Some brief highlights of the changes. We are showing that we're adding 3.5 positions. One is an accounting coordinator to be added to the TIF section of the Comptroller's office because of the increased number of TIFs. We're also adding a position for Accountant 2 in the Finance and Development area of the Comptroller's office in order to take care of additional regulations from the government. In addition to those positions, we're adding a payroll specialist in the payroll department to take care of additional duties regarding employee garnishments that used to be prepared by the Sheriff's Office, and they are now prepared in the Comptroller's office under the payroll department. And finally, the half position is a fiscal manager, and that position we're sharing between the Comptroller's office and the Treasurer's office, and that is Ed Reck, who is helping to develop the New World System, accounting system that we have been trying to implement this fiscal year in the last several fiscal years. Those are the highlights. We have included in the salaries and benefits, like everyone else across the city, the 2% increase that was implemented in 2014, which is this current fiscal year. And so, of course, that's going to show up as an increase in the budget for next fiscal year. We are showing, fortunately, some decreases in our budget. We have a decrease in the premiums of the insurance by $30,000. We're showing a decrease in the gas and fuel by $5,000. But we are showing some increases with the local control for the police department. Many of their functions have been added throughout the city of St. Louis, and so what we have been added in our department of the Comptroller is the taxes and licenses for all of the vehicles of the police department, and so that's an additional $11,000 to be added for those. And of course, we have some software and office equipment increases as well throughout the Office of Comptroller. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Alderman Florida?
I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay. Alderman Behringer?
I just have a quick question, and this is a dual question, because my son would say, "What's a pager?" Only because I see pager down here, and I'm like, pagers? Who uses pagers?
And that sounds like a question for John Scott Young.
Just because I don't know anyone that uses
Pager is
pagers.
well, it's used to contact people. These are the messengers in the municipal garage, and if they need them to call back, it's less than a cell phone.
Okay, I just like said,
It's not very much.
my kids wouldn't even know what a pager is.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got pagers when pagers were
I said it wasn't anything really
being
important,
used,
but
and they
it was one of those
kept them.
things, you
Perhaps
see
we
it.
should think
Yeah.
about eventually getting rid of them, but
Yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Alderman Williamson?
Thank you. Just one question. What is our financial grade or status with the city? Are we single A, triple A,
We
double A?
have the, as far as the grade with the A+ credit rating, is that what you're asking?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
yeah, it's an A+ credit rating with S&P and Moody's. We are in the A category, and I'm glad you asked that question because we do have some information for you. The credit rating agencies have been looking at the way that they grade municipalities with the happenstance of the bankruptcy in Detroit and the fact that they downgraded the U.S. and the financial crises and so forth and so on. And we are being told that we have higher debt load than they would like to see us with. So with that, they have been reviewing the city of St. Louis for a possible downgrade. And it won't be so terrible because since we've had about 9 to 10 upgrades over the last 18 years, it's been about 9 upgrades, that puts us in a very good position to weather any type of couple notches down that we would be knocked. And I believe we will still be fortunate to be in a premium category of the A category.
So they're doing that, they're analyzing it a little differently than they have done in previous years?
Yes,
what
they
you're saying?
are. That is Moody's, Standard & Poor's, and Fitch did theirs several years ago.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it.
Alderman Moore, any questions? Alderman French? Alderman Vaccaro? Alderman Carter?
Just one question. With the 911 systems cost, Alderwoman Behringer, she was trying to break it down to me exactly what it was, but could you explain to me what it is?
The 911 system, John, or is Jim here?
our telecommunications expert, unfortunately,
Here
Is
he
it
is.
something that every municipality pays?
Come on up.
Jim, Jim will answer your question,
You're
please.
speaking about a 911 tax, Alderman?
System cost, yes, sir.
The system cost is actually, the Comptroller's office, because of its role with telecommunications, is charged with picking up the cost of all the software and all the 911 lines that we use in the system that we use from the central office from AT&T. They staff the 911 center, but we pay all of the cost associated with operating the 911 system. So that's trunk lines, that's all of the other connectivity. It's the double redundancy to make sure theoretically that it won't fail. It's been in our budget since I've been here. I can't give you the history on why it's in our budget, but it's been with us for quite a while.
Thanks. Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the committee? I had one. Why, do you know, did the rating agency say why they were changing?
Of course, they looked at their role in the financial crises. When you look at the fact that they're supposed to be rating all these financial transactions, and they actually rated some of these mortgage-backed securities at a high rating. And so not only did they look at the corporate ratings, they are looking at municipalities as well. And I am, from my standpoint, the municipalities really didn't play a role in those Wall Street technicalities or schemes, but they are still taking a look overall at all ratings and recalibrating them.
Okay, thank you. If any other questions from members of the committee, you had another question?
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And if you have any questions, my staff is available to answer any of your questions regarding TIFs and things like
Okay.
that. I did have TIF information if you needed it.
All right.
Thank
I
you.
think we're fine, thank you. I will also mention that the full budget is online under your, so a copy of the entire budget can be found online, the city's website under the budget division. And the entire budget can be found online. Also, these series of meetings are going to be streamed live. All is a part of the process of making this more transparent and accessible to residents of the city. We would now next have our President of the Board of Aldermen. He is here, so we can take him next. President Reed.
Good evening. How's everybody doing today?
We're fine.
Good. I want to first thank you all for all your work on Ways and Means, because it is not an easy committee to be on, and now it requires a lot of your time, especially now that you're having some in the evenings in the evening. But it does open the process up and give residents all across the city who cannot make it there from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the evening. It gives them an opportunity to engage in the process, and I appreciate it. And I know it's a change for all the members on the committee, but I really appreciate it. The Board of Aldermen budget, I mean, there's really no major change. Our budget stays fairly consistent across the years. This year, we're budgeted at $2,730,000. That's up, roughly $26,000 on the salary side.
Just the salary.
Yeah, and that's that's mainly for the 2% salary increase that's being given the city employees all across the city. No new employees. We're not hiring any new people, as all of you know. And we have the biannual Good Neighbor Guides, and that's pretty much it. It's a very simple budget, nothing complicated in it.
Questions from members of the committee? Alderwoman Florida.
I have no questions.
Alderwoman Behringer. Alderman Williamson.
Just waiting on that neighborhood
That good neighbor guy. Yeah, yeah, people are waiting for those. They're looking forward to getting them.
It's in the budget.
All right.
It's in the budget. Alderman Moore?
President Reed, is there any such fund as a legal defense fund for aldermen?
We have in our rules of the Board of Aldermen a line item for legal defense, right? And I think it's right around $22,000 to $24,000 that we are to allocate for legal defense in case we need outside counsel for something. And that is written in our rules. Historically, we have not put that in the budget because it's never needed. But I understand that this year there have been, some instances where it would have come in handy, right? But that's something that could be added in by the committee if you guys would like to add it in.
So I'll get with you later on to get the definition of the use of the.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, Alderman.
Okay. Alderman French, any questions?
Yeah. Mr. President, thanks for coming. So we have 5 secretaries, is that right? Is that just 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes, the public should know how few resources we have down here. And I know we're always very timid to add resources and to, potentially cut budget somewhere else to bring over to our own office. But, I almost feel like I should echo former Alderman Troop here, is that sometimes we're a self-loathing body that don't even give our own selves the resources we need to be successful.
Yeah.
So I'll continue to push that, we need more secretaries, more support staff. We have no research staff.
No grant writers.
Cramped space.
Yes.
We have that space next to our office that somehow got jacked.
Yeah, we need.
As the kids say. So yeah, I think, at some point, this board is really going to have to take a bold stand to give ourselves the resources we need. And maybe that happens after the next redistricting as, these positions get cut in half. I don't know how somebody is going to do double this job without adding more support staff. So that's something I think we should really be looking at down here at the board.
No, I completely agree. We are short, and we've gotten used to just running short-staffed and shorter resources. And you look at the jobs that we have to do on the legislative side, we really need a much broader budget, but it has been unpopular for a number of years to do that, and it remains unpopular to do it. So, but at some point in time, we're going to have to begin to take care of the things we need over here to really, to provide better services to the people of the city.
Does that complete you, Alderman? Alderman Vaccaro? Alderman Carter? Okay. Did you have any other, Alderman Gracia, or is Ogilvy still out there?
Any questions?
Okay. If not, okay. Do you have any other?
Just one final statement. I know a lot of you have heard about the strong cities, stronger communities that is being pushed by the initiative that's being pushed by the White House. And what it allows for, us, the city of St. Louis, to have people on the ground working throughout our communities to help shore up some of our communities. And they have a direct connection back to the White House, right? So I'm also asking the committee to look into that to see how we can begin to use those resources, that are coming here from the White House. I'll provide the committee with information on it so you guys can look into it, but it is a major opportunity for us to do some things throughout our communities that we have not been able to do in the past.
All right, well, I think that completes us.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. That pretty much completes our agenda for today. I would just, our budget director wanted to speak to one of the questions that was asked. He gave me some handouts to give out. I'll take one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Very quickly, one of the, in addition to the other items I was requested to provide the committee, Alderman Moore had asked about other cities and what the standing of other cities were regarded budgetarily. I did do just some cursory looks at other cities. It's surprising when you look at some of the surrounding cities how some of the numbers are very similar. For instance, Kansas City, I was looking at the last 3 years, their total budget from $1.3 to $1.4 million over the last 3 years is a 2.9% annual growth rate, which happens to match the city of St. Louis. Mostly coincidental. I'm sure there's a lot of nuances in there. The city of Cincinnati, actually, the 3-year growth rate was 1.9%. But what I found more interesting about the city of Cincinnati is some of the narrative in their budget, where it references the struggle for sustainability and why not structurally balanced, which is a common theme you see, as I mentioned, about trying to get recurring revenues to match recurring expenditures. Indianapolis, actually, their budget actually went down. And they're a combined city-county government organization. And Minneapolis, similarly, actually you saw an increase, but I see a line item here that says use of fund balance. So there are a lot of common themes in many of these cities where they have are addressing some of the common concerns. What I did want to provide the committee was a release of a report from the National League of Cities, which actually resulted from a survey taken last October, which sort of summarized a lot of the conditions that other cities are facing. And you're going to see some common themes. One of them being, since the recession, we've seen some growth in revenue, although it's modest. But some common challenges remain, primarily in the areas of infrastructure, pension costs, health insurance costs, and the like, not keeping up with the expense. But but I'll let you read those. But I thought that might be some information that would be helpful for your reading.
Okay. Did you have any questions? If not,
I just want to say thank you.
I was going to say.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, thank you for providing that information. That really actually assists quite a bit. It gives us some framework in which to think things into. Our next meeting is Tuesday, May 13th. We'll have Board of Public Service and Public Safety Office. That will be at 9 a.m. in the morning. The next series of meetings that we have will be in the mornings at 9 a.m. When we interview the other departments. Again, the next public, all these meetings are open to the public, but there will not be public testimony. May 27th will be the date at 6 p.m. at the Schlafly Branch Library that the committee will be listening to public testimony as to what citizens think should be the priorities in the budget. We put it at the end of the process so residents could have the opportunity to hear the various departments and their concerns and issues and their needs before the Board of Aldermen makes its recommendations. So the next evening meeting will not be until May 27th, but our next meeting is Tuesday, May 13th at 9 a.m. 6 p.m. on that May 27th at the Schlafly Branch Library. If there's nothing else from our committee members, that will complete our meeting today, and our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.